Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 271. It is a Wednesday here in Cincinnati. It's gorgeous again. We have blue skies, cool temperatures, a little breeze blowing, the sun is shining. Gorgeous, gorgeous weather here this fall. Okay, so today we're going to dive right into this topic. When I was running earlier, I was just pondering options of, what I want to focus on today or what word seems to be most relevant. And immediately this word just popped forward. So I'll share it and then define it, and then we'll kind of explore it together. The word is accountability. And when I looked it up, I expected the definition to be something about being accountable for. But it said this, which I think is a great definition. Accountability is to be answerable for something within one's power or control. The obligation to report, explain, or justify something under your control. So, let's explore this. It's been, first of all, we're in Libra season, which is about balancing the scales and the feminine, masculine, the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, evil and light. There's this holding both in both hands and then finding the place in the center. A great example, if this is too wordy for you, there are these rocks that I bought years ago from the crystal guy here in Cincinnati. At the time he called them, I think, Kansas pop rocks, but there's another name for them that I've forgotten. Basically, they're two small black brown sort of rocks, dark rocks, that fit perfectly into the palm of my hand. The one on the left, when I first bought it, was really smooth and just like a really smooth, not soft rock, but you know what I mean, a smooth rock with no hard edges. The one that you hold in the right hand, when I first bought it, was really rough, like sharp and jagged. And the point of these rocks was to select two out of this big bin he has of all of these different sizes and shapes. To select two that you can hold in either hand, left and right. Left was meant to be the smooth one, right was meant to be the rough one, and it implied feminine and masculine energies. And to find a balance between those two rocks so that when I hold them in meditation sessions or healing sessions, there's an even weight of energy that is anchored into those two rocks, those two crystals. So I found these two that were the perfect size, and ever since then they sit on my lap when I meditate. They are with me when I have circles and healing sessions. They're always around. And what has happened is the right one has gotten really smooth, just like the left one. It's a little bumpy, but nowhere near where it was when it first started. The balancing of those two is a physical manifestation or a description of what I am illustrating today. When we are in Libra season, we are balancing the scales. We are finding the harmonic point, the even flow between two things, the settling of places where we have been out of balance or out of alignment. So we can do that individually within our human bodies. Perhaps there's less being and more doing, or less doing and more being. Perhaps there's more meditation and less talk, or more talk and less meditation. Perhaps it's health. There's more activity and less eating, or better eating, less activity. It could be a balance of sleep It could be a balance in a relationship, finances. Like, there's so many ways that this Libra energy could be playing out in our individual journeys. And then there's the collective balancing out. And this is where the word accountability comes in. Well, really, it comes in anywhere in any of these examples, but the way I'm going to begin it is here with this collective example. So collectively, we are a humanity that has been using up the resources of our planet in a way that is out of alignment, out of balance. And so those scales have been leaning heavily on the side of humanity getting what we want and Gaia's resources being used up. So we have these beautiful voices that are coming forward in louder and louder ways saying we have to balance it back the other direction. We have to have these two rocks that we hold in either hand that are even, that are able to match each other's weight. And that is what I shared yesterday when I described Designated Survivor and Greta Thunberg, these examples of people who are stepping into a leadership role because they want some accountability to help balance the scales. And so they are taking action from a place of inner certainty so that they can be examples for us of how to do the same, how to step up with them. So there's this feeling, this theme, as I clear my throat, of accountability that we are seeing play out nationally, internationally. Yesterday, it began in politics. There's an accountability that is happening at the presidential level of those who are in the governmental system saying things don't look like they are right. Are you answerable for the choices that you are making for the role that you sit in? And is it harmonious, the choices that are being made? So there's this accountability that is going to become a very big topic of conversation in so many platforms because it's such a high-profile example. So we have it happening with our planet. We have it happening with politics. There's, I'm sure, going to be a balancing of the scales in the financial markets. And, we could just ripple out it in lots and lots of ways. What I want to do is bring it back to the individual again. So we go from here in our own human journeys to the national stage, the international stage, and now I bring it back to us individually, but I take it to a different level. When we are souls and we come into human form and we agree to come play here on Gaia on Earth and to bring all of our wisdom and gifts and abilities and love here to this 3D physical world, we set intentions for ourselves. We have dreams and hopes and wishes that we want to bring into the physical manifestation when we're here walking around in human bodies. And so at a soul level, we have these choices that are put on the table that we know when we're here in a human body, we're going to be offered. Choice after choice after choice. And in all of these individual moments, we're going to be making little small choices, one after another after another. This word accountability, when we feel into this at a soul level, we are answerable to ourselves as souls, as infinite beings of consciousness. We are answerable to ourselves when we complete the human journey and go back to being a soul. Not that we ever stop being a soul, but when we're shedding the human form and we go back to being energy, pure consciousness and energy in a non-physical form, there's an accountability that we have with ourselves, with our own beings. There's a great book, if you haven't read it before, excuse me, that was written by Dr. Michael Newton. I've talked about this so many times, called The Journey of Souls. And he had all of these hypnotherapy sessions with thousands and thousands of clients. Over 30 years of this career, he has since transitioned. And he describes again and again and again, how when we leave the human form and we return to being a soul, these patients who were sitting in his physical office in a chair doing this regression work would all have the same process. They would describe the same steps that a soul would go through when it left the human body. And always there was some discussion after the human journey ended, where the soul would gather with its guides, and there would be a discussion about how did you do in that life? How did the human journey go? Do you see where you could have done it a little bit differently or better, or you could have fulfilled, I use better, but perhaps that's the wrong word, a little more courageously or expansively? Do you see where this choice puts you into this next choice, which then limited what you actually intended to do when you came into the human body? I describe this in my book, how souls, when we come into the human form, we forget just how hard it is here. And then we struggle, and then we give up and we go back and we're a soul again. We're like, oh man, how did I forget? How did I forget that that's why I actually went into the human body, was to do that thing? Now I got to go back again, right? And the soul comes down again into the human form. And again, it's so complex and intense and hard, and we struggle, and so we give up on our biggest dreams and we go back to being a soul, and we review the life and we're like, oh man, again. It's the accountability at a soul level is always for us to be answerable to our greatest possibilities, not the half-ass ones or the maybe we'll try it ones, the biggest of possibilities. And so when I shared the example yesterday of stepping up, of, this TV show about the president, the man who stepped into the role of president so unexpectedly and then had to truly define his own integrity and make some really difficult choices. The example of Greta Thunberg yesterday, who stands in front of the United Nations, a tiny little 16-year-old, a child still, this little being with this enormous soul who speaks this universal truth, which is shame on everyone for not honoring the resources of our planet. What are we going to do, people? She's honoring the highest accountability of her soul in the choices that she's making. And so as we move through this entry into Libra, which feels like rocket ships dragging us into all of these important conversations so quickly. I mean, Libra season just started and there's been so much already happening. We are being invited radically, powerfully, to look at our own biggest dreams, our own biggest expressions at a soul level of who we came here to be, what we came here to do, and then to be accountable to ourselves for that. To not shrink or be small or play the role, in a way that isn't in our own integrity. It's be big, step up, do all of it. Do all of it. Claim everything that you came here to be and to do. And don't wait, right? Start it now. So I say all of that as so much is shifting with my own work and with the things that I'm here to offer and the way that I see my role as a teacher, as a guide, as an expression of consciousness, as a voice for Source. There's so much that wants to move through me and be shared and co-created in the most fun, awesome ways. And so I feel that momentum building underneath myself. And when I feel it this powerfully in me, the best thing it feels like is to share it with you, to share this joy of the adventure of being a soul in a human body, and to say, be big, be big, be as big as you want to be. Do all the things that you came here to do, not just a couple of them, all of them. And if you don't know what they are, sit your ass down and meditate and remember Because your soul, I guarantee your soul is just waiting for you to sit down and ask, what's next? What's next? What are we doing next? And how do we step into that? And when you sit down and listen, you'll hear it, you'll know. And then that's the way you move forward. So be accountable, fully accountable to your soul. The highest authority for you, the highest authority for any one of us is our own infinite being. So tune in, see what that being is saying to you as we settle into Libra. Deepen the partnership you have with your soul and trust the way that you're guided. It's so damn good. It's so good. All right, I'm off to a lunch and love with Viv and my beautiful Callie Bross. So we are going to go have some fun. Here we go. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in aligning with the optimal health of your mind, body, spirit in the virtual community of Viv's Energy Gym. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.